Oh, hi. How are you? Good, good. Yes, yes. Good morning. Everybody's feisty this morning. Lots of energy. Last class, too. We had to have John ring the bell twice to get everybody's attention. So I no bell this morning. So we're gonna pretend we hear the bell. How's that? All right. So come right up to the front of your chair. Have your feet underneath your knees. Close your eyes. Let's kind of settle into the breath. So noticing the air as it moves in and out. Notice if it's easy to breathe this morning or if you've been having a little bit of difficulty, even though we've had some snow this morning. Everything's kind of starting to bud. So some people are experiencing a little bit of seasonal allergies already. So just kind of notice that. And then see if you can let your breath get a little deeper. So breathing in deep to your belly. Breathing out, pull your belly in toward your spine. So letting the inhalations get a little longer and deeper, and the exhalations getting a little longer and slower. And then see if you can just recognize the pause between the inhalation and exhalation, and the pause between the exhalation and the inhalation. So after a nice, long, slow, deep breath in, you're going to pause and hold your breath for just maybe a count of 1 or 2, just 1 or 2 seconds before exhaling, and then again holding your breath out for maybe 1 or 2 seconds. So we're noticing all 4 parts of the breath now: the inhale, the pause, and the exhale, and that pause. Well, let's take a full deep breath in together. We're going to hold and keep holding, and then let it out with a sigh. You can let your eyes open, and let's start to just roll the shoulders a little bit here. So just warm things up with the shoulders, kind of shrugging and circling around. Good, and then reverse the direction of those shoulder rolls. And notice if it's noisy up in there this morning. And then let's do just the right. And just the left. And going back to just the right, go the other way. And the left the other way. Good. Okay, and then we're going to take the shoulder, or the arms rather. You're going to bring your arms out in front a little lower, your hands a little lower than shoulder height. And we're not going to bend the arms, but we're going to be working the shoulders back here. So you're going to push forward and round through your upper back so the shoulder blades come off your back, and then you're going to pull back, right? So again, you're not bending the arms. We're not doing this. We're keeping the arms steady, and we're moving from the shoulders, right? So it's that kind of movement. So can you feel your shoulder blades? So right here in your back, your shoulder blade. So as I come back, the shoulder blade comes in, and as I go forward, the shoulder blade comes out, right? So it's that kind of movement. So your shoulder blade, by the way, is called your scapula. Did you know that? Yeah. So your scapula is moving. When your scapula moves forward like this, it's protraction. When your scapula moves back, it's retraction. So we're doing this movement here. This is a movement that we tend to lose if we don't use it. So I like to kind of include this in. And then relax all of that. Excellent. We're going to take the arms up overhead. Now, as you take your arms up overhead, reach, reach, reach. And if your arm doesn't get up overhead, just go as high as you can. So you're going to bring your arms up overhead, and then you're going to bring them all the way down and squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you, right? So once again, thinking about the shoulder blade. When I come up, the shoulder blade comes way up. And when I bring my arm down, the shoulder blade comes way down, right? So that's what I'm really focusing on. So it doesn't really matter if you don't get your elbows straight or you don't get your arms or your hands behind you. That's okay. The movement we're doing is in the shoulder blades themselves. So breathing in and breathing out. Good. We're getting right to the heart of the matter this morning with the shoulders. One more time, up and down. Good. All right, and then take your arms down by your sides and have your palms facing forward. So all we're going to do here now is we're going to rotate from the fingers right up into the shoulder, and we're going to focus right up into this shoulder joint. We're going to rotate the palms in toward one another and then out as far as they'll go, and then rotate the other way. So you're going to feel this in your whole arm, but I want you to think about or visualize this upper arm bone rotating in and rotating out. So you have the upper arm bone is called your humerus. It's a nice big bone, not as big as your femur, but it's still a nice big bone. And that comes up into the outer edge of where your collarbone in the front and your shoulder blade in the back kind of meet. And that's what makes your shoulder joint. So, oh yeah, we're doing both. There we go. I forgot for a minute. Okay, so as you continue to do this, I'm going to have you slowly raise your arms. Don't bring them any higher than shoulder height though. Right? So we're just doing this nice movement, and then you're going to come all the way down. So you're rotating. When you get around, go as far as you can. Don't just go a little bit. Don't go halfway. We want to really explore the full range here, right? And going back up. So getting a lot of shoulder work this morning. And all the way down. Good. And you're breathing. Excellent. And then let that go. And just with the arms hanging down, we're just going to tap. So that's it. We're getting into the elbows a little bit. So we did some shoulder work. We're doing a little bit of elbow work. And then let's bring the arms up in front. Good. Still tapping, tapping, tapping. And then out to the sides. I forgot to tell you to check. So just be mindful if you're banging into somebody. Do it kindly. And then go up overhead. Whoo. Up overhead. Good. And then we're going to go all the way down, right? So all the way down. Up in front. Good. Out to the sides. Excellent. And up overhead. Good. All right. And then come all the way down and shake that out a little bit here. Shake that out. Let's take the right arm. We got chairs way over here in the front. Yep, so right over here. So we're going to take the right arm and go up and to the left and then down and to the right. So that right arm, we're just going up to the left and down to the right. Now, as we do this, I'm going to invite you to move your body at the same time. So when you bring the arm over to the left, you're twisting your body to the left. And when you bring your arm down to the right, you're twisting to the right, right? And it doesn't matter when you breathe in and when you breathe out. And this isn't so much straight up and down as it is kind of at a diagonal a bit, right? So we're trying to get a little bit of a twist here. Great. Couple more. Last one. Excellent. And then we're going to go right over to the other side. So left comes down to the left and up to the right. So we've got this nice diagonal movement here, getting the spine involved too, if that feels good, right? So you get a little bit of a twist. Do the best you can. So if you've got some limitations here, just kind of work within whatever range you've got. Great. Okay. And then all the way down. Okay, so let's do this just kind of for a little bit of fun. We're going to bring both arms down to their respective sides, right? So you get the right arm down on the right, the left arm down on the left. And we're going to do the diagonal movement, but we're going to do both arms at the same time, right? We should be able to do that. Yeah, it's a crisscross, exactly. We're just making an X in front of the body. So don't hit your nose. Just remember your face is right there. So we're going to go up and down, right? And the next time you go up, cross the opposite way. Uh-oh, you didn't check the first time, did you? So each time you go up into an X, you're going to cross your arms in the opposite way, meaning one arm is in front and the other is closer to your face, right? And then you switch that. Now your body is staying straight because you're not twisting, right? Because we're doing this nice X. How about one more time? Up and down and shake that all out. Excellent. All right. We're going to shift the focus a little bit here for the neck. So we've done some work on the elbows. Oh yeah, we got to do the wrists. Sorry, I forgot about the wrists. Let's do the wrists before we go back to the neck. So circle, circle, and breathe, and reverse the circles. Great. And then with kind of a motorcycle grip, we're going to go down, 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 and up. Right? So down and up, and relax your shoulder tops. If your shoulder tops are way up here, relax them down a little bit. So we're just doing this little motorcycle grip, getting a stretch across the wrists into the forearms. And now to make it a little more interesting, let's have the right one up and the left one down, and then switch and switch. So we're just kind of going back and forth, right? So you're not really moving the arms, right? So if you're doing this, I want you to keep your arms steady and just move the wrists, right? Just move the wrists. That's a little harder to do, I think, sometimes. Okay, and then shake that out a little bit. All right, we're going to take the hands now and extend the fingers, right? So you've got your fingers extended, your thumbs as far away from your fingers as they can go, your fingers as far away from each other. And we're going to hold in this extended position. You're going to take your thumbs and see if you can touch, we're going to touch the base of the fingers. So let's start with the easy way. Let's go from the thumbs to the last finger, right? So can you get your thumbs to the base of your last finger, not the end, but the base of your last finger. Right? So some of you have you're touching the tip of the finger. I want you to touch the base of your finger instead. And then you're going to open. And now go to the ring finger. So that's the next one. And you might even turn your hands and look at them if that's easier. Okay, so that's a little harder. And then go to the next one. That's your swear finger, right? To the base of that one. Right? And then extend that. You all knew what I meant. And then go to your first finger. Right? That's a little harder, right? And then let's go back to the second finger, and the third finger, and the fourth finger, right? So it depends. For most of us, it's going to be a little harder to do the first finger because we got to bend the thumb to get there. Now, if your thumb isn't quite so long, you might be able to touch that without having to bend the thumb. So where are we? Are you on your third finger somewhere? Somewhere. You're somewhere on the digits, right? Somewhere on the digits. Okay. And then let's just kind of shake that out a little bit. All right. Now we're going to move into the neck. So the first thing we're going to do with the neck is just turn your head to the right as far as it'll go. I want you to look over that shoulder. Breathe, and then turn your head back to center and over to the left as far as it'll go. So it's just your head. Try not to twist your body. And then come back to center. Let's try that again. So try and keep your body steady because we're really trying to work here with the neck. So turn to the right. Keep your chin down toward your shoulder so you don't want to be lifting your chin up in the air. And then turn all the way to the left. And then come back to center. Excellent. Let's take the right ear and drop the right ear to the right shoulder and keep your chin tucked. Right? Breathe in, breathe out. Come all the way up. Let's go over to the left. Same thing. So you might notice you have better range on one side than the other. Let's go back to the right, and we're going to hold here for a couple of breaths. Hold, hold, hold. And as you're holding now, you're going to take your left hand and drop it off your leg. Just let it hang down by your side. And imagine you're holding a weight. So that's the left hand is off to the side. The right hand can be resting on your leg. And you're holding a weight in that left hand, and it's like, I don't know, 3 pounds, right? So as you're holding that weight, see if you can draw your knuckles closer to the ground. So it's like you're trying to lengthen that arm, but don't let your head lift up. All right, so you should be feeling a nice stretch here through this left side of the neck or the shoulder or the head. And you're breathing in and breathing out. And as you continue to hold that nice 3 pound weight is now a 6 pound weight. So it's even heavier. So we're getting even more of a stretch here. See if you can keep that ear close to the shoulder. And then take your left hand, place it on your lap, and bring your head back up to center. And take a moment just to notice if you feel a difference on the left side and the right side. So maybe that left side feels a little more open, a little longer. We just kind of stretched it out. Okay, let's take the left ear to the left shoulder. See what that feels like. Keep the chin tucked, and then come back up. And then again, the ear comes to the shoulder. And now drop your right hand off the lap. And you're holding a 3 pound weight in the right hand, so reach the knuckles toward the floor. Keep breathing, getting more of a stretch here through the side of the neck. That 3 pounds is now 6 pounds. So we're getting even more of a stretch here. Bring your hand back to your lap. Slowly bring your head back up. Okay, so just kind of notice right side and left side should feel a little more in balance now. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. All right. And we're going to do a little bit of work now for the back of the neck. So we just stretched the sides of the neck. We're going to do a little bit more work for the back of the neck. Back of the neck gets short a lot because we tend to sit like this. Right? So we're in that position, so this gets a little shortened. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the chin down to the chest. Now, find that little notch between your collarbones, right? So you get that little notch there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get the chin into that notch. Now, you're only going to get so far, and then in order to get the chin closer to that notch, I'm going to have you open your mouth and draw that chin right down. So drop the chin down. Get it as close to the notch in the collarbones as it'll go. You can even put your finger there if that helps. And then open your mouth and try and stretch your jaw so you can get that chin a little closer. Maybe even get it to touch. And then come all the way up with your head. So we're going to do that 3 more times, okay? So it's just about, the reason I'm having you open your mouth is because we can drop the chin like this. So I don't know if you can see this subtle shift. So when we drop the chin, the head comes down. When you open your mouth, the head has to come back a little bit. So it's like you're dropping your head down and back at the same time. So drop your chin down, open your mouth, and see if you can pull back and get the chin into that little notch between the collarbones. Keep breathing. It might feel like your throat is a little restricted, and it is right now, but it should be nothing too serious. So dropping the chin down, and then come back up. All right? We'll do that 2 more times. So drop the chin down, open your mouth, bring the chin right into that notch, or if your fingers are there, see if you can touch your fingers with your chin. And then come back up. Give it another little bit of a rest. Okay, last time. Drop the chin down. Open the mouth. Draw the chin into that little notch between the collarbones. And release and come back up. Good. Let's just turn the head gently from side to side, to the left and to the right, or to the right and to the left, however you like to go. Okay. And then back to center. So we've stretched the left side and the right side of the neck. We've stretched the back of the neck. Now we're going to stretch the front of the neck. And you have muscles that come from your jaw all the way down into your chest. So these muscles can tend to get tight, especially if we sit like this a lot. They can get a little bit tight, and that can lead to like a little extra wrinkling in the neck. Maybe we can work on that. So see if you can get your, see if you can touch your skin, right? I know a lot of, it's cold out, so you get sweatshirts and things. You can kind of get your hand down inside your shirt a little bit. You want to put the flat part of your fingers right onto the skin below your collarbones. So not up here in your throat. You want to be down below your collarbones. So if you're up here, I want you to bring your hand down, down, down. Right. So you're bringing the hand down, and then you're just going to cover that hand with your other one, right? So we're going to press gently. So what we're doing is we're pinning the tissue there, right? So we're actually creating a little bit of a fulcrum here. So we're pinning the tissue, and then all you're going to do is lift your head up and lower it back down. So could you feel a stretch there when you did that? Okay. So again, you really need to have skin on skin to do that, because it doesn't work as well when you're through a shirt. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the chin up and bring the head down. Now, each time you do this, you might have to reposition your hands, right? Especially if you moisturized your neck, which I hope you did. And so your hands might slide a little bit. Okay, we got that? Can feel that stretch? All right, let's increase that stretch a little bit here, right? So again, the muscles run from your chin down into your chest, and they run this way, right? The direction of the muscle fibers is in this direction. So when they contract, when they get tight, they pull this way, which creates wrinkles that way, right? So that's why we're doing this. So here's what we're going to add to this. So if you have your hand here, your other one here, when you lift your head up, when you lift your chin up, I'm going to have you stick your chin out like this. Can you all do that? Yeah, it's like, as I call that the Thurston Howell. You all know, you all remember Thurston Howell, right? Yes, he always talks like that. So that's what we're going to do. So lift your chin up, do the Thurston. Ooh, and come back down. That's a big difference, right? Because now we're engaging some of the musculature in here, and we're really getting at this whole platysma. We're getting at this whole band of tissue in the front. So we're going to do that 2 more times. And you can switch hands if one hand's getting tired. So we're just going to lift the chin, do the Thurston, and come back down. Did I say 2 more times? I think I did. Good. We'll do 1 more time then. And back down. And then let your hands rest on your lap. Take a moment and just notice what you feel in the front of your neck. So you might feel more warmth. You might feel a little bit of tingling. So we've got a little blood flow in there, getting a little bit of the restriction in the tissues out of there. You might notice if you swallow that your swallow feels different. You might notice that your breathing feels a little different. So tightness, we don't often think about loosening up some of the tightness in the front of the neck. We focus a lot on the back and the sides, but the front of the neck needs some love too. So let your eyes open. And then because we want to get at kind of all different parts of this musculature in here, we're going to take the left hand and place it over on the right side below the right collarbone. So not up here, we want to be down below the collarbone. And now instead of just lifting the chin up straight, we're going to go up and to the left and do your little Thurston thing with your chin. And come back down. And we'll do that 2 more times. So you're pinning the tissue here, right? And we're going up to the left, sticking your chin out, And coming back down. And one more time. And back down. Good. So let your hands drop. Take a moment. See if you notice a difference right side and left side. All right, let's get the left side involved. So again, taking the right hand now, just going a little bit below the collarbone, right on the skin. You can put the other hand on there if you want. And we're going to go up and to the right with the chin. And stick your chin out. And back down. And again, come up, stick your chin out. And back down. And one more time. Stick your chin out. And back down. Good. And release. Close your eyes. Take a breath in. Hold the breath. Let it out with a sigh. All right. Open your eyes. And now let's turn to the right with the head and neck. Keep the chin close to the shoulder. And then turn to the left. We'll do that again. I just want you to notice, do you have a little greater range of movement here in your head from doing these little stretches for your neck and your shoulders? And back to center. All right. Everybody doing okay out there? Good. All right. We're going to shift gears a little bit. So we've done some work on the shoulders. We've done some work on the neck. We did some work on the elbows, the wrists, the forearms, the hands, the fingers. And we're going to start to work the hips a little bit. So your hips, by the way, your hip joints are where the leg bone, that's the femur, the big bone up here, where that leg bone comes into your pelvic bone, right? And so what we want to do is warm this joint up a little bit, right? So we're going to juice the joint. Bring your feet a little wider than your hips, and we're just going to come forward and back, right? So the wider your feet are, the greater the angle of that bone, of that femur bone in the hip socket. So some people might want to go really wide because that feels really good. Some people might want to go a little bit closer, right? So we're just starting to warm things up, and the movement is happening here. So you don't have to like get your head down to the floor, because I know some of you are trying to do that. You're just kind of going forward and back a little bit. So that's the movement. Excuse me, that's the shape of the movement. The next time you come back up, we're going to stay here, bring your feet a little closer. So same, we're going to create the same geometry, we're going to create the same shape, but instead of moving the upper body down, we're going to keep the upper body steady, and we're going to raise the legs one at a time. Lift one up and lower down, and lift the other up and lower down. So try not to lean back in your chair or lean from side to side, right? And we're really going to focus on the down being slow, 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 right? So how slow can you go on the down, right? So let's lift the right, and let's go really slow on the down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we go to the left and do the same? Lift up. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the right. Lift up. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the left, lift up. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go back to the right. We're going to lift up and we're going to hold and breathe. Let's hold for 2 more. Can you hold for 2 more? 1 and 2, and let's take 4 to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the left. Lift up. Hold, hold, hold. Breathe. Can you hold for 2 more? 1, 2, and now 4 to lower down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Let's take the feet a little wider than the hips, and we're going to go in and out. In and out. So we're still warming up the ball and socket there. That's your hip joint is like a ball and socket, right? The top is the ball, the top of the leg is the ball, and then the bottom of the pelvis is the socket part. Okay. So let's go over to the right side. So you're kind of, your right side is just right on the edge of the chair. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a circle. So just like we did with the shoulders, you know how you create a circle with your shoulder? We're going to do the same thing with the hip. We're just going to circle the leg around nice and slow. So slow, slow, slow. Now the slower you go, the harder it is, because we're using a little more energy, using a little more muscle to do this work, right? So nice and slow. And the next time your foot is in, we're going to put it down and pause for a moment, and then reverse the direction. So whichever way you were going, you're just reversing the direction of your circles. Now try not to lean your body, right? So this movement is happening here in the hip, and you might do a very little circle like this. That's fine. So whatever kind of circle you can get, right? Breathe in, breathe out. And then place that foot down. Good. Scoot over to the other side of the chair. I'm going to have some fun on the other side. So same thing, right? Circle, circle. Circle, circle. Breathe in, breathe out. Go as slow as you can. Good. Next time you place that foot, you're going to place the foot down, and we're going to reverse the direction. Go up and around the other way. Good. How about one more circle? Can you do one more circle? And then down. Good. Come back to the center of your chair. Bring your feet a little wider, and then go in and out. Just in and out. Great. Okay, feet come together. Let's move down to the knees a bit, right? So let's start with the right. We're just going to extend and then bend the right knee. That's it. That's the whole movement. And as you do this, so when you bend your knee, I want you to try and get the heel to touch the bottom of the chair. So you're squeezing the muscles in the back of the leg so much that you could touch the bottom of the chair. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you extend your leg, next time you extend your leg, I'm going to have you hold there and breathe. And squeeze those muscles right here in the front of the thigh, right? So you're really nice and strong here with those muscles. Breathe in, breathe out. Could you maybe lift your leg a little bit higher? Oh boy, that's a tough one, right? If the answer is no, the answer is no. That's fine. And then you're going to slowly bend that knee and lower that foot back down to the floor. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Let's go the other side. So bend and extend. And breathe. Right? So we got knee noise. That's normal. Right? We are creaky, cracky creatures. Right? We make all kinds of noises. So we're just bending and extending. And when you bend, again, you really engage those hamstring muscles. Those are the muscles in the back of your thigh. Like you could bring your heel to touch the bottom of the chair. And then when you extend, next time you extend, you're going to hold here and breathe. So really squeeze these muscles nice and strong. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Nice deep breaths in and out. Can you lift a little bit higher? Just a little bit? Go ahead and then bend that knee and lower that all the way down. Holy smokes on that side. Give everybody a little massage here. All right. So let's do this. Let's take the right leg extended out. Have your heel on the floor and your toes lifted up toward your shin. Both hands on your left thigh. And then we're going to lean forward a little bit. Like you could bring your belly button down onto your left knee. Right? So if you're dropping your head, I want you to lift your head up a little bit. Yeah. And then come all the way up. So could everybody feel a stretch through the back of that leg somewhere? Okay. Anywhere from your toes to your butt. I'm happy with that. So let's try that again. Go all the way down and then see if maybe you can take your right hand, slide it down your right leg. Maybe you can get to your shin. Maybe you can get to your ankle. Some of you might even be able to get down to your toes. So wherever you can go is fine. We're just kind of going in the direction of that foot, in the general direction of the foot. Getting a good stretch through the back of the leg. It doesn't matter, even if you're right up here. As long as that leg is nice and straight and we're getting a good stretch there. and then come all the way up. Excellent. Let's bend that knee. Foot comes to the floor. Extend the other. So here we are, heel on the floor, and we're lifting the toes toward the shin, and we've got both hands on the right thigh, and now we're just going to come forward and back a few times, right? And the reason we do this forward and back a few times is just to check the range, right? So I might notice, wow, on this side I can get a lot farther forward than I could on the other side. That gives me some information about how I'm holding tension in my body. So I might say, oh, my left leg, the back of my left leg is tighter than the back of my right leg. Maybe I could do a little extra stretching on that side, or maybe I could do a little more strengthening on that side. Next time you come forward, let's kind of hold here, right? So if you're looking down at if you're looking at your navel, I want you to look up a little bit. Because we're not rounding the back. We've got the back nice and straight and strong. And we're going to take that left hand, slide it down the left leg. Maybe you can get to your shin. Maybe you can get to your ankle. Maybe you can get down to your foot. So wherever you can reach, right? Some of you can grab your toes. Keep breathing. That's the only thing you really have to do. Everything else is optional. And then slowly come all the way up. Excellent. Bend that knee, bring the foot to the floor. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a couple of breaths and just notice. Okay, one more little thing we're going to do now, knee and hip. Okay, so on the right side, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the knee as close to the chin as you can get it, and we're going to grab the leg and hold it in, right? So in other words, I'm just going to grab the back of my leg, hold it in, and bring that knee in as close to the chin as I can. Don't round through your spine, so we're not doing this. Keeping the back up nice and straight. Okay, so let's all start here. Back is nice and tall, so put your feet down on the floor, right? So we're lengthening through the spine first. And then we're going to take that right knee and bring it up. Take your hands either behind the thigh, or if you want to grasp your shin, you can do that as well. And bring that leg up and sit up taller. And breathe a little bit more. And then slowly lower that all the way down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So keep your body upright. We're not trying to bring the chin down to the knee. We're trying to keep, the chin is trying to stay away from the knee, and the knee is trying to get close to the chin. So we're bringing this up, and we're going to grab either the back of the leg, or we're going to grab the shin, and we're just going to bring that right up. If you keep your toes reaching up toward your shin a little bit, that gives you a little more oomph. Breathe in, breathe out. Excellent. And slowly lower down. Great. All right, let's take the right leg. So we've worked the hips, the knees, we've worked the thighs and the lower legs a little bit. Let's start just by pointing and flexing the right ankle, right? So you could tap the floor if you want, or you can keep it lifted. So notice if it's easier for you to point your foot or to flex your foot. In other words, to bring your toes away from your face or to bring your toes toward your face. Like, which is easier for you? Which feels most comfortable, most natural for you? And then we'll go to the left side, do the same thing. So we're pointing and flexing. Ooh, I hear some ankle music out there. Nice one. That's a good one. That ankle is saying thank you. All right. And then let's go back to the other side, and we're going to do a little circle, circle, circle. So it's just the ankle that's moving, not the whole leg. And as you're circling around, notice the quality of the circle. Does it feel like a circle? Or are there like, what I like to think of, I think of them as like flat spots. Like I'll get to a certain spot and, oh, I'm missing the circle part of that. It kind of gets straightened out, right? So just kind of notice. And then reverse direction, right? So that's very common for people to have like a little flat spot in their circular movement in the ankle. And then bring that foot to the floor. Let's go the other side. So same thing, right? So circle, circle. And go nice and slow so you can really feel or sense all parts of the circle, right? And reverse that up. And again, just noticing, is it really circular or are there some flat spots there? And then bring that back down to the floor. So take your right foot now and go into like a bit of a Barbie foot, right? So the Barbie foot is when you're stretching the bottom of the toes. And see if you can get all the toes down. Now, if you've got a toe that's crossed over, you might not be able to get that one down on the ground, but see if you can do the best you can, especially the baby toes. Sometimes the baby toes don't like to go down there. And then lift up and push down into the bottom of that foot a little bit. Just kind of push down, give it a little bit of a stretch. And then we're going to go on the top of the foot. So it's the opposite of the Barbie foot. We go from this to that. And as you press onto the top of the foot, press a little more into the big toe side. And you'll notice the stretch down here, kind of in the front part of the shin. And if you press a little more into the baby toe side, you'll notice the stretch comes out into the outer part of the shin a little bit. And you're breathing in and breathing out. And then you can place that foot on the ground. Let's go to the other side. So we're going to do a little Barbie foot here on the right, on the left, right? So we're stretching the bottom of the toes. And again, I'm noticing my little baby toe likes to hang out with its neighbor, doesn't like to get down there on its own. So I got to convince it. Breathe in, breathe out. Great. And then let's go to the top of the foot. So same thing. Just kind of pressing down into the top of the foot, now stretching through the front of the ankle. And we really want to stretch this out a little bit. A lot of us get tight here. Now, are you noticing if you press more into the big toe side, the little toe side, which position gives you a little more sensation? Maybe it's the same as the other, but maybe it's a little different. And then release that. So let's do some pointing and flexing again. And as you do, notice if you have more range overall than you did when we first kind of did this movement. Left side, same thing. And there's probably a little less noise in there too. Right. So we need that range. You can put your foot back on the floor. We need that range, that flexibility in the ankle in order to go downstairs. If your ankle doesn't allow the top of your foot to get closer to your shin, so this position as opposed to that position. If your ankle can't allow this to happen with enough flexibility, it's going to be very hard to go down the stairs smoothly, right? So you're going to have to kind of maneuver things a different way. It also makes it difficult to navigate terrain that isn't very even. So like if you're walking in the woods or you're walking on grass, your ankle needs to be able to do these things. Okay. So put your feet on the floor, get your tripod set, and look down at your toes. We're coming after the toes next, right? They knew they were in the crosshairs. And here it is. So just kind of do a little inspection this morning. What are the toes looking like? Even if you have your socks on, just do the best you can to kind of assess things. And then let's do this. Let's just lift and lower the toes. So you're keeping your tripods down. That means the big toe knuckles, the little toe knuckles, and the heels stay on the floor. So we're not lifting the whole front of the foot. We're lifting just the toes. Just the toes. Yeah. So that's going okay out there? Yeah? All right, good. Let's do this then. Keep your toes on the floor. And all we're going to do now is lift and lower the bigs. So all the littles stay down. And we're just lifting and lowering the bigs. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. I hear a little less breathing happening out there. So I'm thinking this is a little more challenging, yeah? A little more challenging. So if that second toe is coming up, push it down into the floor. Yeah. Okay, and then relax that. And now we're going to keep the bigs down and lift and lower all the littles. Okay. Now for some people this is easier. For some people this is harder. Some people don't like either one. So we're lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Got it? Okay, lower everybody down. Take a breath. Who found lifting and lowering the big toes easier? And who found lifting and lowering the little toes easier? Nice. If you didn't do either one, you get to have both camps. All right, let's do this. Let's lift all the toes now. And we're going to press the bigs down, but keep the littles lifted. So we're pressing the bigs and lifting them, pressing and lifting. But the littles stay lifted the whole time. And you might notice one foot is different than the other, right? Keep your heels on the floor, if I didn't say that. So tripods stay on the floor, yeah? Okay. And then lift everybody up. We're going to keep all the bigs, all two of them. We're going to keep, if you have to, maybe you have three, I don't know. So I guess I shouldn't say that. So keep your bigs lifted. And we're going to lower and lift all the littles. And take a breath while you're doing this, right? So get that movement here in the toes. Good. Okay, and then relax all of that. Whew. So let's see. Who found that lowering and lifting the bigs was easier? And who found the littles easier? Okay, and who likes lifting rather than lowering better? And who likes lowering rather than lifting better? I've never had consensus when I've asked this question. We're all different, right? It's how our feet are functioning. So it's really a matter of what is working for you. So what I encourage you to do is the thing you like the least. Right? So if you're like, oh, I'm holding my toes up, I could lower and lift my big toes all day. Don't do that one. Do the other one. Do the one that's harder, because that's the one you have the most, you can build the most skill with, is the one that you have the least skill with currently. Yeah, Nina. Yeah. 45. It takes a little while. So yeah, so it gets better. It definitely gets better over time. So I'll say this. There's a couple things we can do. Doing these exercises daily. I do these all the time. In the shower, I'm doing these things. When I'm brushing my teeth, I'm doing these things. My toes are always moving. I have hyperactive toes. So keep moving your toes all the time. The other thing is to notice your footwear, right? So your footwear has a big impact on how able your feet are, your toes are to move. If I were doing all of these exercises, in the shower, brushing my teeth, watching TV, whatever, and then I put on a nice pointy shoe with a heel, I'm undoing all of that. Even if I'm putting on like a tennis shoe, right? That's kind of narrow in the toe box. So we really need to watch what we're putting our feet into in order to do that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's lift up all the toes and spread them out nice and wide, right? And then see if you can keep them spread nice and wide and lower them down so they're still as wide as they can be, and keep them nice and wide and lift them up. And then relax, right? So it's this. We're lifting the toes, we're spreading them nice and wide, we're lowering them down nice and wide, we're lifting them back up, and then we're relaxing them. That's the whole movement, right? So let's kind of give that a try. So let's see if we can do that. Spread the toes out nice and wide. Lift the toes up, spread them out nice and wide, and then lower them down, keep them nice and wide, and then lift them back up nice and wide, and relax. You get a sense of that? Let's do that one more time. So lift all the toes up, spread them nice and wide, lower them down nice and wide, lift them up nice and wide, and then relax. So could you get that sense that you can still, maybe they can't be as wide when they're lowered down, but there's still a little bit more width in there, yeah? Okay. What's that? Yours don't spread. They stay clumped. Yeah, they're a little codependent. Is that what I'm hearing over there? You got some. You try to separate them and they say, no, we're just not doing it. They stay where they are. Well, we're going to work on that a little bit. Let's see if we can find another way to do this. So let's do this. If you take, I'm trying to think. Is everybody okay taking their socks off for a minute? Okay. So we need to have the contact between the floor and your skin. So it's kind of like when we do the chest thing, right? When we do the chest thing. So if you can take your socks off. I know we won't do this long. I know it's going to be a little chilly, so we won't do this for too long. But we need that contact between the floor and the toe. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to lift up the big toes. Bring them a little closer toward one another. So you're trying to bring the big toes in and push them down into the floor. Right? So you're anchoring your big toe in the floor. Yeah? You all with me? Do you want me to say that again? Yeah? Okay. So lift your big toes up. Bring them in toward one another. So we're doing both feet at the same time. Bring them in toward one another. Press them into the floor. Right? And now what you're going to do is you're going to lift your heels slightly, slight, like a half inch. You're going to lift all your other toes, and then you're going to pivot your heels toward one another and place all your toes down on the ground. You got that? Everybody's going, what did she just say? My feet are not doing anything here. So let your feet relax for a moment. Let me demonstrate here. So what we're doing. So here's my big toes, right? Here's all my little toes. So we got the feet on the floor. We're lifting up the big toes and we're bringing them in as close as they'll go. Press them down into the floor. Then we're lifting up the heel a little bit, lifting the toes. We're pivoting. When I say pivot, I'm lifting my lifting my heel, lifting my toes a little bit, and I'm pivoting that heel in. My big toe is anchored into the floor. Maybe I can show you this way. Since my big toe is anchored into the floor, when I pivot my heel in, these toes are going out because the big toe is anchored into the floor. That's why I said you need your bare toe on the bare floor. Because if you have a sock on, it's just going to slide. Is that making sense? More sense? Let's try that again. So lift up your big toes and bring them in a little bit. And if you need to use your fingers to bring them in, do that. And then press them hard into the floor. Right? And then you're going to lift your heels slightly, and you're going to pivot your heels toward one another, but your big toes are anchored into the floor, and spread your toes out, and then place everybody down. Place your heels back down on the floor. How we doing? I lost half of you. Yeah. Okay, that's all right. This is advanced stuff. This is kind of advanced stuff here. So let's try this. If your feet are cold, stick your socks back on, that's fine. So what we're going to do, that's just a way to start to get some more mobility. So if anybody's got a bunion, that is one of the best bunion exercises you can do. Because you're anchoring this toe, because the bunion happens from here, not from here. Well, it kind of happens from there, but you got to work on the here part of it as well. So that is a great little exercise to do if you've got a bunion, especially if it's a little bunion, right? So if you've got a big bunion, it's a little bit harder, but if you've got the start of a bunion, you can arrest that and you might even be able to reverse some of it. So let's do this. Look down at your feet. You're going to move your big toes toward one another and all your little toes away from your big toe. So you're doing this. So here I am with my hand. I'm showing you with my hands, right? So you're taking your toes and you're moving them away like that. Got it? And then you're bringing them together like that. I'm seeing some confused looks. Okay. Look up here for a second. Take your hands, right? And you're going to bring your fingers apart as far as they'll go. And then you're going to bring your fingers together, right? Got that? Even your thumbs, right? So in between, so you see your fingers here, right? Your fingers actually go down into your hand a little bit. you have bones. If you were to take each finger, you go down a little bit into your hand, you have long bones inside that you can't see. They're not separate because they're in the palm of, or they're in the back of your hand here. But those are called your metacarpal bones. Just basically, meta means after, and it's the bones after your carpal bones. So you have muscles between the bones here in your fingers that do this and do this, right? You got the same thing in your feet. So here you've got your toes that you can see, but you have these long bones inside your foot. These are metatarsal bones. So tarsal is foot, carpal is hand, meta means after. So you've got these long bones in here, and between those long bones you have the same musculature that does this and does this. And you're saying you're lying, because mine don't do that. But really they do. The problem is, you have had your feet in little, it's like they're in leather mittens, right? Imagine if when you were 1 year old, you put your hands in leather mittens like 8 hours a day. You would not be able to do this, right? It's the same thing with your feet. So you don't have this range right now, but you have some range. So with that in mind, look down at your feet and see if you can get that movement. It's the big toes away from the other toes and the other toes away from the big toes. So your feet are flat on the floor. So put your feet flat on the floor. And you're doing that movement. And then come back in. So you're also doing this movement, right? You're coming back in. So it's this in and out, in and out. If you want to get good at this, if you want to get some real independence with your toes, you should be doing this. Now take a breath, because I know I'm going to get a reaction here. You should be doing this 20 minutes a day. Everybody's like, I'm done. Class is over. So work your way up to 20 minutes a day doing this movement, and you will start to get that in and out with the toes, right? So for every hour you're in a shoe, you got to work twice as hard to get that the muscles developed so that you can use your feet the way that they're intended to be used. All right. So yeah, so you're going to have more sensation often in one foot than the other. Yep. So yeah, so I'll say this. This has been my observation in my many years of clinical practice in massage, just working with different people's feet. We all have one foot that's a little bigger than the other. For some people, it can be like a half a size bigger than the other. We always buy the shoe for the smaller foot. So if you think about it, it's usually the larger foot that has less capability because it's been jammed into a shoe that's a little too small for it for a while. So just kind of notice that about yourself and your own feet. So let's just kind of close the eyes for a moment. Take some breaths in and out. Let go of needing to do this exercise for 20 minutes a day. It's all good. It's all good. Take a nice deep breath, let it out with a sigh. You can let your eyes open, and thank you all for being here and for having a good sense of humor. It's good, good, good. All right.